So that already we have discussed, queue is nothing but a location which contains all the pending records which are awaiting for the processing. So whatever the records has been created by the customers, that may be related to an order, that may be related to a quotation, that may be related to a case also, whatever, it may be a lead record also. So whatever the records has been created by the users, till any of the person has processed that record, till that time record will be waiting inside a location that is called as a queue. So queue is nothing but a location which contains all the pending records which are awaiting for the processing by the queue member. So each and every queue contains two things. First one is the queue supporting objects, which describes what object records can be held inside the queue. That means my queue contains what object records. Because I'm having so many objects are available inside my Salesforce instance, which includes both standard objects and custom objects also. From these objects, what object records can be placing inside the queue? That will be indicated by the queue supporting objects here. Now, in the yesterday's session, the previous session, we have discussed queue will be supporting these object records here, not all Salesforce object records. Only a few object records like the lead and the case, order, feedback, feedback question set, feedback template, feedback request, performance cycle, goal, metric, macro, knowledge article version, user provisioning request, coaching, scorecard, authorization form, authorization from request, authorization form consent. Like that, it will be supporting few objects of standard and all custom objects. It will be allowing us to place inside the queue. These are the various object records can be placed inside the queue. It's a common question in every interview. It's a common question in every admin certification 201 also. They will give you that a question from the below 4 objects, one object will not be supporting to store inside the queue. So please find out that question, answer here. They'll be giving that 4 answers. From that one, we have to pick up the object which will not be supporting to place inside the queue here. Okay, it's a common question. And then, so once the records has been getting placing inside the queue, then who can access these case records here? Who can access these queue records? These records can be accessible by only by the queue members. Whatever the members are available inside the queue, only these queue members can able to access this record. Other users inside my organization will not be able to access. Even though he may be a manager, even though he may be that subordinates or siblings, those people can't access that records. Only the queue members, and along with these queue members, the administrator person can able to access that records. Remaining people will not be able to access that record here. Now, in this case here, how these people will know that there is a record is waiting inside the queue over here? Whenever I'm going to be placing a record inside the queue, automatically Salesforce will send an email notifications to all the queue members' email IDs that a new record has been placed inside the queue. So the record is waiting inside the queue. So if you're free today, then please go to the queue and accept that record, start working on that here. So that here, it will be sending one email notification to all the queue members by default here. As soon as the queue members are receiving the email notification, then they will go to the queue and then they can able to access that case record, queue record, and they can able to accept that. Whenever they're accepting the record, then automatically the record ownership will be transferring from the queue to that accepted member over here. So, whatever the record has been placed inside the queue, the record will be available inside the queue until any of the queue member has accepted it, or the record might have transferred to some other queues also, by using some escalation rules. Like, if the case is having some SLA, like if the case priority is equals to high, then we are going to resolving within 2 hours over here. So now the case has been created by a user in the morning at 10 o'clock. Now the time is 12 o'clock. Still the case is not resolved. At that time, automatically the case may be getting transferring from that Hyderabad queue to that other queues also we can able to transfer over here. Might be when coming to the Bangalore is a global service center for our organization. There we are having the masters people are available, so that if any of the person is unable to resolve this case record from the Hyderabad location, we can transfer the record to the Bangalore service team. So those people will resolve the problem also. because those people are the experts, okay, who are having some good knowledge on that, the service, these kind of issues, so that we can transfer that record from that Hyderabad service queue to that Bangalore service queue also. Like that, the record will be available inside the queue until any of the queue member has accepted it, or else if the case is having any SLA, automatically the record will be transferring to the other queues also by default over here. That possibility is available. So now in this case here, then how can we configure that queue's information? Now let's see practically here. And once a queue has been getting created, how can we assign the record to the queue manually and then automated here? That already we have discussed in the last session. Whenever I'm going to be assigning the record to the queue, we have two ways are available. One is manual transfer, second one is the automated transfer. Manual transfer in the sense, manually we can able to change the owner of the record from the current user to the queue to whomever you want. Second one, if I am going to be keep on transferring the records manually by my own, at that time, if the number of records are more, then it will be taking more time to transfer these records to the respective queues. For that one, I would like to make this transfer process as an automated. For that one, we can create our own automated rules. With the help of these automated rules, we can able to transfer these case records or the lead records to the respective queue based on the conditions over here. For that one, we are configuring the automated rules called as assignment rules. With the help of these assignment rules, we can assign the records to the respective queue dynamically at runtime based on some certain conditions. In this case, here again, we are having two types of assignment rules are available. The first one is lead assignment rules. Second one is case assignment rules. Okay, we'll see these features one by one here. Okay, clear? Now, first of all, let me show you practically how can we create the case records over here. Okay, now let's see practically here. Now, so let's make a note over here. Take a use case. Configure a queue with the name Hyderabad service queue, Hyderabad service queue, and add the case object as a queue member, queue supporting object, and development user as a queue member. Configure a queue with the name Hyderabad service queue and add the case object as the queue supporting object. That means I want to create a queue which can able to hold only the case object records, not other object records inside this. Even though queue will be supporting so many object records to be get stored, but I'm restricting the queue. Okay, I'm restricting the queue. Don't allow to store all these object records. Please allow to store only case object records inside this. Okay. Now, so in this case, upon creating the queue, I would like to specify that the case object records can be held inside the queue. Even though queue will be supporting these many number of object records, I want to restrict to the queue to support only case object, not the other object records. And then, who can access the queue records? I'm adding a queue member that is called as development user. Why I'm adding the development user is, there is a reason. Now, I want to grant access on that case object records. Now, case object can be accessible by what kind of licenses? Salesforce license. So now through platform license, we can't grant access on the lead, case, all these things. Platform license is purely granting the access on your custom functionalities, custom objects, custom features, along with few standard objects like as account, contact, document, task, event. But remaining objects we can't access here. But especially case object cannot be accessible through the platform license. For that one, I am going to be adding the member as development user who is having that Salesforce license. So through Salesforce lessons, you can able to access all the object functionalities here, standard and custom both. You know this concept here. That's what here I'm adding the development user as the queue member over here. Okay. Now, so now let's see how can we create this queue. Now let's see practically. If you want to create the queue, just go to that setup menu. Go to the administrator menu in the left panel. Go to the menus users. Click on queues. Click on queues. So now click on new button to create a new queue. Enter the queue label and the name. Enter the queue email ID here. So what is the use of this queue email ID? As soon as whenever I'm going to placing the record inside the queue, then all the queue members will be receiving the email notification. Suppose there is only one member is there inside my queue. Now, the member has received that email notification, but by mistake he has removed that email ID, email notification over here. But today evening, okay, he came to me and he told me here that I haven't received any email notification regarding this case. Then how can we show the practical proof? But boss, already email notification has been delivered to you. How can we show the practical proof? That's what here I am going to be giving one queue email ID. So whenever a record has been placed inside the queue, automatically queue member will be receiving one email notification. Along with that, one copy of the email notification will be storing inside this queue email ID also over here. Okay, so we can give you a different email ID over here so that this email ID also will receive an email copy that we can able to maintain as a proof. That was, so yesterday we have created the case record. So now email notification has been delivered to you. One copy has been stored inside this queue email ID also. This is the email ID here. This is the email notification. We can show the practical proof. For that one, please give that queue email ID also over here. Next, there is a checkbox here. Select the checkbox, send the email to queue members. That means what? As soon as the record has been placed inside that queue, then I want to send the email notification to the queue members also. For that one, I'm using the checkbox, send the email to queue members. So now if the queue is having some multiple members are there, every member will be receiving one email notification by default. Next. Select the queue supporting objects. Select the queue supporting objects from the multi-select pick list. In my case, I am going to selecting that case object only. Select the queue members. In this case, I am using the development user. Click on save button. Automatically, a queue will be getting created over here. Okay, automatically, a queue will be getting created. Then where this queue's information will get resides? All the queue's information will get resides in which object? Queue object, group object, right? Already we have discussed in the previous session. All the public groups information and the queues information will be storing inside in only one object that is called as group object here. Okay, group object ID is starting with what? 00G, right? Now, so now in this case, public groups information is also there inside that group object. Queues information is also there inside that group object. Then how can we differentiate which one is a public group, which one is a queue? Based on what field? Type field. If the type value is equals to regular, then means what? Public group. For the queues, what is the type value? Queue. That's it. Simple concept here. Okay. Based on the type field, we can differentiate that whether it is a public group or queue. If it is a public group, then the type field will be having the value as regular. If it is a queue, it will be holding the type value as queue. Okay. Now, so we'll see that practical information also over here. Now let me create a case over here. Let me create that queue right now. Now, before creating the queue, let me show you something here. So now I'm going to be creating a queue by adding that member development user as a queue member over here. Okay. Now, so now let me add the tab over here, case tab on this one. Now, so now here in this case here, observe this one. So these are the tabs are available on my tab bar. Let me logging into my development user account. Let's see the case object here. Go to the manage users. Go to the development user account now. Click on login for the development user. You will be having the case object here. Click on this case tab. When you go to this enhanced list view, what options are available? How many options are available? So now totally 5 options available here. All closed cases, all open cases, my open cases, recently viewed cases. Let me take the screenshot over here. So these are the options are available right now. In my enhanced list view filters or options, these are the options are available. So these are the options are available over here. So now only these options are available. Okay. Now let me create the queue. Observe what will happen in this case. So I'm creating a new queue. How to create the queue? You know that. Go to the manage users. Click on queues link. Click on queues. So now it is indicating that information over here. So now what exactly the queue, what is the use, the whole information is available to you here. Okay, they're giving some description. So now I would like to create a new queue because we haven't created any queue as of now, so the table is empty right now. Click on new button. I'm creating a new queue. Specify the queue label and the queue name. I'm indicating that Hyderabad service queue. Okay, Hyderabad service queue. I'm giving the queue email ID over here. Okay, I'm giving the queue email ID here. So now you will be having a checkbox, send email to members. That means as soon as whenever your record has been placed inside the queue, you want me to send the email notifications to all the queue members or not. So now I would like to send the notification, so that I'm selecting the checkbox, send email to the queue members. Now, next one, select that queue supporting objects here. What object record the queue can support? So now currently the queue can support to store these object records over here, like authorization form consent, authorization form data use, case object, consumption schedule, contact point type consent, contact request, customer is my custom object, data use legal basis, data use purpose, goal, and then hiring manager is my custom object, image, knowledge article version, lead, macro, messaging user, messaging session, metric, order, position is my custom object, quick text, scorecard, user provisioning request, coaching, feedback, feedback question set, feedback request, feedback template, performance cycle. These are the various object records the queue can support to store the records. Other object records will not be supporting here because here account object, contact object, campaign object, other object records it won't support to store. Only these object records can be held by the queue right now. So now in this case, now there is a provision that even though the queue will be having supporting to store all these object records, I would like to restrict my queue. Don't store all these object records. Please store only the case object records here. So I'm selecting that only case object records here. So whatever the objects that you have selected, only those object records will be getting resides. So in this case, you can raise a question, sir. For example, I want to create a queue which can able to store both lead object records and case object records. Then at that time, select that lead object also. So both lead object records and case object records both can be held inside that queue itself. That possibility is there. No, but now as part of my use case, I am going to be adding that only that case object records to be get stored inside this queue. Now, the next one. Now select that. Once the case records has been placing inside that queue, then who are all the people who can access this case records here? So now in this case, I want to indicate only the development user can able to access that. So that I'm indicating the development user over here. Only the development user can able to access the records available inside the queue. Select that the queue member as development user here. Only the development user can able to access the records available inside the queue. Okay. So we can specify what object records can be held inside the queue and then who can access those records over here. We can specify. So once you specify the whole details, click on save button. Automatically a queue will be getting created with the specified details here. A queue has been created with the name Hyderabad sales queue, and then this is the queue name, this is the queue email ID, and this is the case supporting objects over here. Okay, clear? This is the way we are going to be creating the queue. Understood the concept now? Now let me log in into the development user account. Observe what will happen. I'm logging into the development user account here. Log in into the development user account because he is one of the queue member here. Go to the case object. Now, so what additional thing that you have identified over here? Hyderabad service queue. Now these kind of options are called as what? These are called as what? So this is the enhanced list view control. These options are called as what? List view options are filters. Now generally how to add the filter? By click on create new view link, we can able to create the filter. Have we create this filter over here? No, this filter has been added by default. This is the additional benefit whenever I'm creating the queue. The queue members no need to add that option inside that enhanced list view, so that queue members will be receiving this option automatically by default over here. Okay, so that as soon as whenever I'm going to be creating the queue record, automatically the queue member will receiving the queue name inside this enhanced list view by default here as a list view option. So that if the queue member wants to know what records are waiting inside the queue, just they can click on that option. It will be listing out these are the various records are waiting inside the queue. From there, he can able to accept the record by using this accept button over here. Okay, clear? Now, whenever I'm creating the queue members will be receiving that enhanced list view option by default for that object here. This will be available for what object? Only for case object. Why? Because that queue can able to store only case object records here. Okay, clear? Now, so this is the way we are going to be creating the queues. Now, where this queues information will be getting resides right now here? Where all the queues information will get resides? All the queues information will be getting resides inside that group object over here. Then how can we fetch this information? We'll see. Now, in this case, when coming to the group, nothing but the queue's information is storing inside that group object. Queue contains two things: queue members and then queue supporting objects here. Where all the queue supporting objects information will store and where all the queue members information will get stored here. All the queue members information will be storing inside an object called as group member object. All the queue supporting objects information will store inside an object called as the QS object. Okay, QS object. QS object is one of the standard object maintaining by Salesforce, which will be holding all the objects information which will be supporting by the queue itself over here. Okay, now let me show you that concept practically over here. Okay. Now make a note here. All the queues information will get resides inside the group object. How can we get all this queues information? I will show you practically over here. Now, so let me go to the developer console. In this developer console, we can fetch the information here. So go to the developer console. I would like to fetch my public groups, my queues information. Select the ID of the queue, name of the queue, and the type value from group object here, where type equals to queue. Okay. If I'm giving type equals to regular, then what it will returns? Public groups information. If you want the queues information, then specify where the type value equals to queue. Click on execute. Now it is populating only those queues which you have created as of now. So now it is indicating there is only one queue is available. This is the ID of the queue. This is the name of the queue over here. This is the type. What type of the group it is? It is a queue over here. This is not a public group. This is a queue, which is indicating clearly here. Now, so let me copy this information. I'm pasting inside this. Okay. Now, in this case here, once a queue is available, queue will be having so many members are available here. Where all the queue members information will get resides inside that group member object over here. All the queue members information will get resides inside the group member object. How can we get this information? Let me show you practically over here. Based on this queue ID, I would like to collect the respective queue members information here. That means here, queue members means what? These are the childs of that queue. So if you want to get the child, we need the parent first. Based on the parent record ID, we can fetch all the associated child records here. So that here I would like to use that group record ID here. This ID I'm collecting over here. Copy that group record ID and then we can able to fetch the information from group member object here. Now I'm collecting that group ID, comma user or group ID. From group member object, where group ID equals to, I'm passing that group ID here. Whatever the ID has been generated by Salesforce, I'm passing that group ID. Based on the group ID, I'm collecting the ID of the group. I'm collecting the members of that group over here. User or group ID. That means in that particular queue, you will be having some members. Those members may be the users or the group also here. So that here we are having the column called as user or group ID from the group member object. So let's execute that. Inside this group, only one member is available over here. This is the group ID and this is the ID of that member over here. So now who is this member? Is it a public group or is it a queue? So is it a public group or is it a user? How do you know user? 005. That means this is a user. Now who is this user? I want to know. Just to copy this user ID. Then how can we verify that one? Okay, paste that user ID inside the URL. Go to the URL. Remove the URL, whatever we have after salesforce.com/ and paste the ID, press enter. We can see that. Who is this member here? Development user. Development user is a member of my queue. Okay. Now, we can able to fetch this information also through programming like this here. Now, let me place this. This is the way we can fetch the group members information here. That already we have discussed during that public groups concept also. Next, each and every queue will be supporting few object records here. Then where this information will store? All this information will be storing inside the queue supporting object over here. All the supporting objects information will get resides inside the QS object. QF object is one of the standard object maintaining by Salesforce here. Based on that public group ID, that means the Q ID, we can fetch the associated information. We can fetch, select the group ID, comma, a subject type from QS subject where group ID equals to, I'm passing that group ID here. I will show you the practical part now. So now let me go with this here. Group ID, comma, a subject type from QS subject where group ID equals to, I'm passing the group ID. Based on this public group ID, nothing but the QID, I am going to be collecting the QID along with that what kind of objects the queue will support over here. Click on execute. Now, you will be having that QID here, column. So now I'm collecting that QID and then a subject type. That means what kind of object records can be held inside the queue from the QS object. QS object is a standard object which is maintaining by Salesforce, which will be holding all the QIDs along with that what kind of objects a queue will support. So now this is the QID which we have supplied. Based on that QID, it is fetching that this queue will be supporting to store only that case object records information inside this. Okay. Just make this correction over here. Okay. So these are the three objects involved. Whenever I'm using that public queues, three objects will be getting involved. Group object, group member, and QS object. These are the three objects will be getting involved internally by default. Done? Now. So now the queue is ready with me here. Once the queue is ready, then how can we assign the record to the queue? Just now we have created the queue, that's it here. But we haven't assigned any queue record to the queue. We haven't pushed any queue record into the queue. Then how can we assign the record to the queue over here? Now let's see. Now make a note. Once the queue has been created or queue has been configured, then we can assign the records to the queue. We can assign the records to the queue as below. Here we are having two mechanisms are available over here. The first one is the manual assignment. Second one is the automated assignment. Manual assignment and the second one is automated assignment. Then how can we assign the record to the queue? What will happen? Now let's see practically in this case here. How can we do the manual assignment? We have to open the record and then we have to change the ownership of the record from the owner to that particular queue over here. Okay. Now, in this case, manual assignment here. How can we do it manually? Now, let's see practically over here. Okay. Now, in this case, the step 1. Open any of the case record. From the object, go to the case owner field, and click on change link. Select the new owner type as queue. From the pick list and select the queue to which the record should get assigned. By using lookup icon. Lookup icon. For example, I'm selecting Hyderabad service queue. Select the checkbox. Send email notification to queue members. Sixth one, click on save button. Now, the observation is case record ownership will get transferred to the selected queue, and the queue members will receive the email notification. And queue members will receive the email notification. Done? Now. So now let's see the practical part. How can we assign this record to the queue manually? And then we'll see the difficulties also in the manual process. And then how can we configure the automated processes also we'll see. Now, So now in this case here, let's take any of the case record over here, whatever we have. I'm having a case record. So now this is the case record that we have. So now seeking the guidance on electrical wiring installation for the product GC5060. This is the product over here. Okay, now. So now this is the case record that we have. Currently, who is the owner of this case record? Training batch user will be the case record owner. Now I'm transferring the record to the queue. Okay, now I'm transferring the record to the queue. Just go to the case record, go to the owner field, click on change link. Once you click on change link, now it is indicating that there is a pick list is available. To whom you want to transfer this case record? To a user or to a queue? We can specify that here. Okay, user or queue. I would like to transfer the record to that queue. So that's here I'm selecting that queue. Select the queue to whom you want to transfer the record over here. Once you click on this lookup icon, now it is populating that queue's information. But it won't populate all the queues. It will be populating only those queues which will be supporting to store this case object record, because this is a case record over here. It will identify only those queues which are supporting to store the case object record inside this here. Now select that here. Select the lookup icon. So now we are having that only one queue is available as of now, Hyderabad service queue. Select the queue to whom you want to transfer the record here. And then select the checkbox, send a notification email, so all the members will be receiving one email notification, and the queue email ID also will be receiving the email notification over here. And now select that checkbox, send a notification email, click on save. As soon as once you click on this save button, record has been transferred. Now tell me who is the owner of this record right now? Hyderabad service queue. So now right now, the record owner is Hyderabad service queue right now over here. So now in this case, once a record has been placed inside the queue, in this queue, who are all the members available here? Development user here. So for the development user, what is the email ID we have given over here upon creating the development user? Now let me show you. Go to that manage users. Go to the development user account here. This is the development user. Open the development user record. He is having one email ID here. This is the email ID. To this email ID, automatically email notification will be sending by the Salesforce here. Let me verify that. So I'm logging into that email account to verify whether the email notification has been delivered by the Salesforce or not. Because the record has been assigned to the queue, in that queue we have a member called as development user. The queue members will be receiving the email notification. Let me log in into that. Now, so he has received an email notification over here. Now, case notification, one email notification has been received from Salesforce over here. The development user has received one email notification, case 00001002. This is the case number here. Seeking guidance on electrical wiring installation for the product GC5060. Once you open that, it is indicating the following case has been auto-assigned to your team. So now the case needs to be resolved within our standard service level. That means based on the SLA, please resolve that problem here. So now this is the company who has raised that case. This is the contact person over here. This is the case subject. This is the case description. The whole information is available here. Okay, we can able to see that information. Then what is this case here? How can we know? Based on that case number, there is a unique identification number which has been generated by Salesforce. That is the case number over here. Like that, as soon as the case has been getting placed inside the queue members will be receiving the email notification automatically by default. Now, because of this email notification, the member will go into that queue over here. Now, let me go to login into the development user account now. Go to that login. Go to that case object over here. So now once you click on that options here, once you click on all closed cases, it is populating that closed cases. No closed cases as of now. Once you click on that Hyderabad service queue, there is a record is waiting inside the queue over here. Now it is populating that options. So now inside my Hyderabad service queue, there is a record is waiting over here. Currently, the record is available on the Hyderabad service queue. Nothing but still the record is waiting inside the queue. Nobody has accepted the record over here. So now let me show you here. Still, the record is waiting inside the queue. It is indicating purely, currently the case owner is Hyderabad service queue. Nobody has accepted that here. Now, if you are free today, as a service engineer, if you are free today, if you want to ready to work on that case, then you can able to take the case and you can start working on that. In this case, how can we do that? Just to select that case record which you would like to work on this one, click on accept. For example, today I am free. I don't have any work today, so that I would like to take up this case over here. Click on this accept button. Automatically, the case record will be transferring from the queue to that accepted member. Automatically, the entry will be removing from the queue by default over here. Now the queue is empty. Now let's go to that cases here. Now the record is available here. Who is the owner of the case right now? Who is the owner of the case right now? Development over here. Okay. Initially, user to queue we have transferred, and then we are transferring from queue to that user. Like that, in the last session I told you, we can transfer the record from user to user, or user to queue, or queue to the user, or queue to the queue also we can transfer. All the four options are possible over here. Okay. So this is the internal concept of queues. Whenever I'm going to be creating a queue, then the queue members will be receiving one enhanced list view option for that object by default over here. As soon as whenever I'm placing the record inside the queue, all the queue members will be receiving one email notification automatically, and then based on that email notification, they can go to the respective object, they can select that queue name, it will be populating the records which are waiting inside the queue. If you want to work on that queue records, select the record which you would like to work, and then click on accept button. Automatically, record will be transferring from that queue to that accepted member by default over here. Okay. This is the way we can able to assign the records to that queue by default here. Okay. Clear? Now. So this is the concept of manual process. Okay. This is the concept of manual. How can we make this process automated here? Every day, so many cases are raising by some different customers. Some thousands of cases, millions of cases are raising by the people. Now, I'm assigning the case to the respective service person over here manually. In this case, if you're having some 100 cases, then fine. Then I can spend some 1 hour or 1.5 hours. I can transfer the cases to one by one. But if I'm having some thousands of cases or millions of cases which are raising by the customers every day, at that time, it is a difficult process for me. It is a difficult process for me to assign this case record to the respective queues over here. For that one, what I want to do is, I want to prepare some automated rules. With the help of those automated rules, I want to route my case to the respective queue automatically by default here. Okay. I want to route the queue. That means I would like to transfer the queue or to transfer the record to the respective queue automatically by default. Then how can we assign the records to the respective queue? For that one, we are using a feature called as assignment rules over here. By using this automated assignment, that means with the help of this assignment rules feature, we can assign the record to the respective user or queue dynamically at runtime, without assigning manually, without transferring the ownership manually by my own. By click on that change link, I want to make that process automated with the help of assignment rules here. Okay? Clear? Now make a note over here. By using this feature, we can transfer the record ownership from a user to the queue automatically by default with the help of assignment rules. With the help of assignment rules. With the help of assignment rules. When coming to the Salesforce, we have two types of assignment rules are available in Salesforce. Okay, we have two types of assignment rules. First one is lead assignment rules. Second one is case assignment rules. First one is lead assignment rules. Second one is case assignment rules. These are the two types of assignment rules are available in Salesforce. Lead assignment rules and the case assignment rules. Now, what is this lead assignment rule? What is this case assignment rule here? So, lead assignment rules are used to assign the lead records to the respective queues dynamically at runtime. That means to assign the lead records to the respective queues dynamically at runtime, we are going to be using that lead assignment rules concept. By using that case assignment rules, we can assign the case record to the respective queue dynamically at runtime. That means to assign the lead records to the queue, lead assignment rules feature. To assign the case records to the queue, we are using case assignment rules feature here. Okay? These are the two features has been given by Salesforce. Lead assignment rules and the case assignment rules. Now, we can raise a question over here, sir. For example, queue is not only supporting the lead object and case object, queue will be supporting these many number of objects over here. Suppose, if I am creating a queue by selecting the object as feedback or order or my own custom object here like as some position, at that time what we can do? Which assignment rule we need to select, lead or case? This is not a lead object, this is a case object, my custom object here. So now in this case here, if you want to create the assignment rule on your custom objects also or other standard objects, then we can able to go with that custom assignment rules over here. Custom assignment rules. Okay. If the queue has been configured, okay, with the custom object or any other standard object except the lead, for the lead object queue, the lead assignment rules are there. For the case object, case assignment rule. Then what about the remaining objects here? Order object is also supporting by the queue. Feedback object, feedback question, coaching, performance cycle, goal, metric, so many other objects are there. Then what about these objects assignment rules? Salesforce is not giving the assignment rules for this object. At that time, we can create our own assignment rules, which is called as custom assignment rules, which can be done with the help of Apex programming. Okay, which can be done with the help of assignment rules, so which can be done with the help of Apex programming. By using this Apex programming, we can able to assign the record to the respective queue or use their dynamically at runtime. That possibility is there. Okay. Now, then in this case, how can we create these assignment rules over here? Now, let's see practically. Okay. Now, so now whenever we are going to be creating the assignment rules are for what? Assignment rules are used to transfer the record ownership from a user to queue or queue to queue, user to user, or queue to user, also any four combinations, whatever. In order to transfer the record ownership from a user to user, or user to queue, or queue to user, or queue to queue. In this case, we are using this assignment rules here. Sharing rules are used to share the record. Assignment rules are used to transfer the record ownership. In order to transfer the record ownership, we are using the assignment rules feature, which has been given by Salesforce. Okay? Clear? Now. So now here in this case here. Now then how can we configure these assignment rules over here? Now inside an organization, we can create multiple assignment rules also, but only one assignment rule will be in active status at a time. In an organization, we can create multiple assignment rules also, but only one assignment rule will be in active status at a time, not multiple. This is the limitation given by Salesforce. If you are creating a new rule by making it as active, the previous one will be getting deactivated automatically by default. Okay? Now, make a note here. We can have one or more assignment rules in an organization, but only one assignment rule will be in active status at a time. Only one assignment rule will be in active status at a time, not multiple. This is the limitation given by Salesforce. Done? Now, then in this case, how can we create these assignment rules? Okay, now let's see. Now, so let's take a small use case. Configure a case assignment rule to assign the case records to the required queue based on the case priority as below. Based on the case priority as below. Specify the case priority and the queue name. If the case priority equals to some high, assign that case record to a queue called as tier 1 service queue. If the priority equals to some medium, then assign that record to the tier 2 service queue. If the priority equals to some low, we are assigning to the tier 3 service queue. So this is my use case. How can we configure the assignment rule? Now tell me, is it a case assignment rule or lead assignment rule here? Why? Because we are assigning case records. To assign the case records, we have to use case assignment rules. If it is a lead object record, then to assign the lead records, we have to use lead assignment rules over here. If it is any other object, then we have to use custom assignment rules. So that's it. Simple. Now, in this case, what needs to be done? First of all, we have to create these 3 queues. Tier 1 service queue, tier 2 service queue, and the tier 3 service queue. And then these 3 queues should be supporting to store case object, because I would like to place the case object record inside that, so that as a step 1, we have to create these 3 queues by adding the case object as the supporting object and then development user as the queue member over here. Okay. And then once the case queues has been getting configured, then as a step 2, then I would like to create the assignment rule over here by specifying all these conditions. Once the assignment rule has been getting done, then as a step 3, we need to test it. Okay, we need to test whether my assignment rule is working properly as per the customer's expectations or not. So that I need to do the testing over here. Okay, now let's see that each and every step one by one. Step 1. Create the required queues by adding the case object as a supporting object and development user as a queue member. Next, as a step 2, configure the case assignment rule. Configure the case assignment rule by adding the required conditions. Okay, by adding the required conditions. In order to create the case assignment rules, we have to go to that setup menu, go to the build menu in the left panel, click on customize, go to the cases and click on case assignment rules. And then click on new rule button to create a new case assignment rule over here. This is the second step in order to configure the case assignment rule. I'm not giving the complete navigation because the navigation is there in your hard copy. So now let me create the queues. I need to create the 3 queues over here: tier 1 service queue, tier 2 service queue, tier 3 service queue, by adding the queue case object as a supporting object and the development user as a queue member here. Now, so now let me create that queues. Go to the administrator account. Go to the queues. I'm creating the 3 queues right now. Click on new button. I'm indicating that tier 1 service queue. I'm giving my email ID as the queue email ID. I want to send the email notification to the queue members. I'm using the queue case object as the queue supporting object. I'm using the development user as a queue member over here. Okay. Now click on save. Now the first queue is ready with me. Tier 1 service queue. Second one, I want to create the tier 2 service queue. Queue email ID. I want to send the notifications. Case object records can be held inside that queue. Development user will be the member here. Second queue is also ready. I am creating one more. I am creating the tier 3 service queue. Email ID, I am giving my email ID here. I am indicating the case object here. Development user will be the queue member. I am adding one more queue also. Escalated cases queue. I am giving the queue email ID here. I am adding the case object as a supporting object. The development user will be the member over here. So these are the 4 queues I have created right now. Tier 1 service queue, tier 2 service queue, tier 3 service queue, and escalated case queue. Okay, these are the 4 queues. For all these queues, development user will be the member over here. Once you log in into the development user account, you can able to see all these 5 options inside that enhanced list view for the case object here. Log in into the development user. Click on cases. You can able to see all these options here. Tier 1 service queue, tier 2 service queue, tier 3 service queue, and then Hyderabad service queue, and then escalated cases queue. All this queue. Queue names will be getting populating inside that respective objects tick list field over here. That means inside the enhanced list view. Now inside this escalated cases queue, there is no records are waiting as of now, so it will be indicating this table as empty. In the tier 1 service queue also there is no records are waiting. In the tier 2 service queue also there is no records are waiting. In the tier 3 service queue also there is no records are waiting over here. Now the queues are empty right now. So now I am done with that step 1. We have created that required queues, okay, by adding the queue supporting objects and the queue members. Now let's configure that assignment rule to assign the records to the respective queue dynamically at runtime. Then how to configure this assignment rule? Now let's see. So these are the case records which I am going to be assigning to the respective queues, so that we have to go to the case object and create the case assignment rules here. Okay. Now, so let's go to that. The administrator account. Go to the build menu in the left panel. Click on customize and expand it. Because case object is a standard object, so that go to the customize option. Go to the cases. You will be having an option called as case assignment rules. There is a small link is available, case assignment rules here. Click on this case assignment rules. So now it is indicating some information. Automatically assign cases to the users or queue based on the criteria you define. That means depends upon the condition, whatever we have, we can specify the condition. Based on that condition, we can assign the case record to the respective queues over here. You can create multiple assignment rules inside that case object, but only one rule can be inactivated time over here. It's a fundamental principle. By default, Salesforce is giving one ready-made assignment rule that is called as standard, which is in active status right now by default over here. Then what this standard assignment rule will do is, standard rule will be assigning the record to the currently logged in user by default here. Whenever a case record has been getting created, that case record owner will be the currently logged in user by default, that will be assigning by the standard assignment rule. But now, I don't want to assign to the currently logged in user, I want to assign the request to the respective queues automatically by default. From there, the people can able to start working on this. Okay, now. So in this case, I want to create a new assignment rule. Click on the new button to create a new assignment rule. It is providing a user interface. There it will ask you to specify the name of that rule here. Specify the name of the rule and then select the active checkbox. Once you click on save button, rule will be getting created. Then we need to add each and every rule entry one by one, the conditions we need to add. Okay. How to do that? Now let's see practically. Currently, the standard assignment rule is in active status right now. Now I'm creating a new one. Click on new button to create a new assignment rule. I'm indicating over here. CIS case auto assignment rule. Okay. CIS case auto assignment rule. Now I would like to make this rule as active. If I'm selecting this active checkbox, the standard rule will be in deactivation status automatically by default here. Now I would like to make this rule in active status. Click on save. Once you click on save, my rule has been created now. Now my new rule is in active status and the standard rule is in deactivation status over here. Only one rule will be in active status at a time, not multiple. Now I need to add the conditions here. Just to click on that rule name. Now add the rule entries one by one. Go to that rule entries section. This is the rule name which you have configured. CIS case auto assignment rule. Now click on that rule entries section. Click on new button to add each and every condition one by one, and we can indicate to whom you want to assign the record here. Now, click on this new button. I want to add the first condition. The first condition is what? If the priority value is equals to high, I want to assign the record to the tier 1 service queue here. Now, give that sort order here. Sort order means what? In what order you want me to check the conditions over here. Give the conditions one by one. Now this is the first condition I'm adding over here. What is the rule condition? If the rule condition is priority equals to high. If the case object priority value equals to high, then I would like to assign these records to that tier 1 service queue. Now let's go to that. Here you will be having. Specify the conditions which you would like to verify. That means what condition you would like to cross-check, we can specify the conditions over here, and then to whom you want to assign the record, we can able to indicate over here. Okay, to which queue you would like to assign the record here. Now, I am going to be selecting that condition here. The first one, if the case of priority, okay, if the case of priority is equals to high, if the case of priority is equals to high, then what needs to be done? To whom you want to transfer this case record? Tier 1 service queue, right. So now in this case, we can specify if the case priority equals to high, then to whom you want to transfer the record here? To the user or to the queue? Queue. So now select that queue. To which queue you want to transfer the record here? Select that queue name. Click on that lookup icon. It is populating the queues which are configured, which are supporting the case object records as supporting objects here. I want to assign to whom? To the tier 1 service queue. Click on tier 1 service queue. Okay. Now, here there is a small option is available. Do not reassign owner. Then what do you mean by this option over here? If this checkbox is selected, what will happen? We cannot transfer the record to some other people. For example, assume that I'm selecting this checkbox over here. If the checkbox has been getting selected, now after that I have created a case record. Case record is meeting the condition priority equals to high. The case record is assigning to the tier 1 service queue. Once a record has been getting assigned inside the tier 1 service queue, then one of the member, that means here, the one of the member will be accepting the record over here. Okay, assume that development user has accepted the record, so that he will be the owner. Once he is the owner, then he can't reassign the case record to the other people over here. He can't transfer the record to the other queues also. There is no possibility. Once you have accepted that, that will be the fixed one. We can't transfer the record to other people. Suppose if this checkbox is not selected, for example, I am the development user, so I have started working on that case record. Within some 2 hours, I was unable to resolve. Then at that time, I can assign this record to some other queues also over here. The possibility is there. Because there is an expect member is there, to that person, we can able to transfer the case also. But in this case, if the checkbox has been selected, then it won't allow you to reassign the case record to the rest of other people over here. Okay? Now. So now I don't want to select this checkbox over here. Now click on Save button. Now one rule entry has been added over here. If the case records a priority equals to high, I want to assign the record to that tier 1 service queue. Like the similar way, we are having 2 more conditions over here, 2 more rule entries. Click on that new button to specify the second rule entry. Give that condition as second condition. Please verify this condition as second one. I'm indicating the case priority. If the case priority is equals to medium, I want to assign this record to whom? To a queue which is called as tier 2 service queue. Okay, now click on Save. The third rule entry. Click on New button. The third condition, I'm indicating if the case priority value equals to low, I would like to assign this record to that queue. Who is that queue? Tier 3 service queue. Okay, tier 3 service queue. Next, I'm adding one more rule entry also. Rule entry 4. If the case priority equals to empty, okay, null, nothing, then I want to assign the record to that queue. Escalated cases queue. Now click on Save. So these are the 4 rule entries we have added over here. One by one, we can able to add. That's it. So now your assignment rule is over. So we have configured the assignment rule over here. We have added these 4 conditions over here. If the priority value equals to null, I want to assign the record to that escalated cases queue over here. Now here I'm indicating that 4th condition equals to null. Escalated cases queue. So we are done with this one. So these are the various conditions we have added. Now as a step 3, test the assignment rule. Okay, test the assignment rule. Then how can we test this one? When this assignment rule will file? Well, the case is created. Well, the case is created in the sense what? Before creation or after creation? After creation. Because here, to assign the case record to a queue, first of all, case record should be there, right? Yes. So that here, once a case has been created successfully, or once a case has been modified successfully automatically, case assignment rules will be getting fired over here. Like as sharing rules, here also these are firing after insert and after update here. Now, make a note of this one. Always, case assignment rules will get fired after insert or after updating a case record. Inside the object. So once a case record has been created or updated in future automatically, case assignment rules will be getting fired. Then how can we test it? Now let's see practically here as a step 1. Inside the testing the assignment rule here. Login into any user account. Click on Cases tab. Click on New button to create a new case record. Enter all the details inside the case object fields. And then go to the optional features section, that means optional section. Select the checkbox, assign using active assignment rule. Assign using active assignment rule. And then click on Save button. And the observation is, it will create the record and assignment rule will fire automatically, will transfer the record to the associated queue. I have given the example on that, the case assignment rule. Now I will be giving one assignment on that, the lead assignment rule here. Okay, try to configure that lead assignment rule right now. Understood the concept here? No. Take an assignment. Configure the lead assignment rule on the lead object to assign the lead record to the required queue based on the conditions below. Based on the conditions below. Lead record, city name, and the queue name. If the lead record city value is equals to some Hyderabad, I want to assign to that Hyderabad sales queue. If the lead record city value equals to some Bangalore, Bangalore sales queue. If the lead record city value equals to some Mumbai, assign the record to that Mumbai sales queue. If the lead record city value is other than this one, and assign that record to that premium sales queue. So this is my requirement. So now we have to configure the assignment rules on the lead object in order to transfer the lead records ownership to the respective queue based on the city value of the lead. City is a standard field inside your lead object. Based on the value which we have entered, the lead record has to be get transferred. Follow the same 3 steps here. As a step 1, create the required queues by adding the development user as a member and then add that lead object as a supporting object as a step 1. As a step 2, create the assignment rule. What assignment rule we need to create right now? Lead assignment rule. Just you can go to the customize, leads, lead assignment rule, same process, same step, nothing different. Create the lead assignment rule. And then as a step 3, test the lead assignment rule here. Just to go to that, any of the user account, create a lead record here. Upon creating the lead record, there is a checkbox is available. Assign using active assignment rule inside the option section here. Create the record here and then automatically it will be assigning the record to the queue. Go to that queue member account over here and then accept the record, then verify whether the record is transferring automatically or not. Okay? So this is the concept of assignment rules over here. Nothing but public read, write, transfer option. Okay? Now. So as of now, we are done with this up to this concept over queues, configuration and everything over here. Okay. And tomorrow we'll see the most important feature, Web2 lead configuration. Okay. Based on that Web2 lead, we have to configure Web2 case because both are similar. This is for lead, this is for case. Okay. Now tomorrow we are discussing about that, the Web2 lead configuration over here, and then you have to configure that Web2 case over here. And along with that, I will show you how to configure the email to case configuration also. How to create the case records by sending the email notification also. We'll see practically here. Okay. So now these are very small features, and then we'll see that profiles concept over here. Okay. In the next 3 sessions, we are going to be completing the security part, and then we'll see that some more features over here. So this Saturday also we are